Okay, this is the Pacific War, the struggle against Japan, 1941 to 1945, from GMT Games. This is the second edition, or probably what's best called a deluxe edition. The channel's been a bit quiet recently. There's been a few things going on. I was playing Utah for a bit, but I just got a bit bored with it because I've been playing GTS for such a long time. I wanted to do something different. So this is the latest project. The game is set up for the full Pacific War, which is going to take a long time. I've played this before to completion about 40 years ago when the Japanese actually lost the war in early 1945. They surrendered because there was absolutely no hope of carrying on. We've got the game. I've actually created these charts here, where it gives me a lot more room to set up the forces. I found that the charts that come with the game are a bit, well, they're too small. They're really fiddly to use, whereas this one is a lot clearer, I think. Right, in terms of components and everything, we've got a nice mounted map, 2 panels. It's about let's say 3.5 feet by 3 feet by 2.5 feet. It's not big, but one thing with this game is quite a lot of you're going to need quite a lot of space for your force sheets, especially if you use the ones that come with the game, because there's actually about, I think there's 5 Allied ones and 4 Japanese ones. I might be wrong with that. You've got these huge panel game things here that have all your main charts on. Now, if you play this opposed, you're supposed to hide all the information from your opponent, so the only thing they would see on the board is these force markers. Because I'm playing solo, the only reason I'm using force markers is, one, to remove the larger stacks from the board, and two, if you're doing task forces, to see easily what is actually inside a task force, or even inside these forces that aren't activated at the moment. Other things you've got, because we're playing the campaign, there's these big sheets over here that look at all the sort of bits and pieces that make up campaign, like strategic bomber, strategic submarine warfare, intelligence war. There's a lot of stuff on there. If you're going to play this as just a normal game and not the campaign, there's loads and loads of scenarios. I think there's about 30 scenarios that vary from the big campaigns all the way to tiny little battles that you can play in a couple of hours. So it's not one where, like some of these Pacific games are, I think the War in the Pacific, big one, which I've still got a copy of but I've never played, only has 5 scenarios, and they range from one small one up to 4 big ones and one gigantically massive big one. So this one's got lots of different scenarios you can play. The sheets that come with the game, play aids, they're really good, nice and colourful. Can't argue with any of that. They're very functional because I've used them before with the old version of the game. There's some worksheets you have to do for replacements, but don't get carried away. It's not a massive bookkeeping exercise, unless you do stuff like spread out your Japanese, pull off your Japanese main best pilots and take them into training up other pilots, so you get a better quality pilots along the way. That if you use that option, it's a little more bookkeeping, but there's these optional things you don't have to bother with. Um, the actual rule book. Unfortunately, there's a cat sat on the rule book at the moment, so I can't really show you that. But you get different rule books. In this version, you've got a rule book for each type of scenario. You get your battle scenarios and your big campaign scenarios, and there's another type of scenarios. You get three different rule books for those, which is good because otherwise you would end up, say, playing a battle scenario and you'd have all the rules, have to wade through all the rules for the strategic war, um, which aren't necessary. Got one huge scenario book which I think the cat sat on as well. It's a good rule book, nice and colourful. Quite a few, there's an example, a big booklet giving you an example of play for the Coral Sea scenario. It's got indexes, table of contents, so that's very, very good. Whereas the original version of the game, it was a bit awful. It had no index and it didn't have a table of contents either. Anything else I want to say? Yeah, I've said the counters. Counters are really nice. They're stick counters. They take a 2mm clip really well. I can't say that there's a lot more I want to say. No, I don't think I want to say much more of this. Oh yeah, there's some decent videos by the designer Mark Herman on the YouTube, but they're not that easy to find. You'll find there's a big playlist of about 128 videos, and hidden in there are Mark Herman's videos, which are exceptionally good. There are quite a few other videos, but I haven't been impressed with any of them, which is a shame. I don't like saying that about other people's videos, but it is what it is. Right. Only other thing I've done on here is we've got some little blocks. When you see these blocks, they tell me that there is an HQ in that force hex. That's otherwise no, there isn't anything else. I've sort of toyed with the idea of marking where the submarine commands are as well with blocks. I might still do that. And that's it. Let's see how far I get with this. I can imagine a game that's this old that what I would think was a perfectly acceptable level of mechanics and complexity will be too overwhelming. But we'll see. But it does shine, this game, if you play it. If you play the small scenarios. Well, where I mean, if you were playing the Solomon's campaign or the Coral Battles of the Coral Sea, it really does shine there because it doesn't overwhelm you with the sheer amount of stuff you're trying to do. Whereas at the big campaign, I think most people are going to find this just too much for them. That was certainly a major commitment and time. They say 200 hours is what you'd be looking at, which I would say is probably reasonable.